Hello. Today we are going to review the optional QA tool for accounting for residents' personal funds and settlement of cost of care. Directions include answer the questions to determine the compliance status, choose NA, not applicable when relevant. Facility name, fill out the name of the facility. Dates of review, write down the dates that the residents' funds are being reviewed. Staff reviewing name, write down the name of the staff reviewing resident funds. Resident name, write down the name of the resident whose funds are being reviewed. Resident identifier, write down the resident identifier used for that particular resident. Who manages the resident's funds? Any of these options can be circled. The options are resident, authorized representative, guardian, facility administrator/administrator designee. If the resident is unable to manage funds, has the administrator contacted the resident's responsible person or the County Department of Social Services regarding the need for an authorized representative? You may circle any of the options. The options are yes, no, or not applicable. Does the resident receive special assistance, parentheses SA funds? You may circle any of the options. The options are yes and no. Is there a written contract/agreement for bed hold? You may circle any of the options. The options are yes or no, and there is a space to write in any notes that you have. Has the resident been discharged from the facility? You may circle any of the options. The options are yes or no. If yes/discharged, who initiated the discharge? You may circle any of the options. The options are resident, family, guardian, authorized representative, and facility. Date of discharge notice. There is a space to write in the date. Last date resident was at facility. There is a space to write in the date. Amount of notice provided. You may circle any of the options. The options are none, 14 days or more, less than 14 days, resident died/no notice. And there is an option to write in another amount of notice provided next to other. Notice requirement as specified in the resident contract. There is a space to write in your response. Accounting for residents' personal funds. Authorized representative, defined in the rule as a person who is legally authorized or designated in writing by the resident to act on his or her behalf in the management of their funds. Here, there are several areas of review that all correlate to rural areas under the resident funds section. The first area of review is the residence payee, someone other than the administrator unless authorized by a federal agency. There are boxes that can be checked under yes, no, and not applicable. If no is checked, add notes for follow-up on the right side of the page. The second area of review, is there a signed or marked statement by the resident of receipt of state, county special assistance personal needs allowance after payment of cost of care. You may check yes, no, or not applicable. If no is checked, there is a spot on the right side of the page for follow-up notes. The third area of review, if the statement is marked by the resident, is there one witness signature who is not the staff handling the resident's personal funds transactions? You may check yes, no, or not applicable. If no is checked, there is a space for notes on the right side of the page for follow-up. If the resident is adjudicated incompetent, is the signature of the resident's authorized representative present? You may check yes, no, or not applicable with a space on the right. If no is checked, you can add notes in that space. The fourth area of review, is there prior written authorization from the resident or the resident's authorized representative when the administrator/administrator designee manages their funds? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The fifth area of review, is there an accurate accounting of funds received, dispersed, and an accurate accounting of the resident's personal funds balance? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. If no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The sixth area of review, is the resident's personal funds balance available upon request to the resident/authorized representative during the facility's regular business office hours? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The seventh area of review, is the resident or authorized representative provided with a written monthly accounting of the resident's funds when handled by the administrator or the administrator's designee, and do they, parentheses, resident/authorized representative, sign a record indicating whether they agree with the monthly accounting is accurate? There is a space to check yes, no, or not applicable. If no is checked, there is a space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The eighth area of review, the resident's personal funds are kept separate and are not commingled with facility funds and not commingled into an interest-bearing account. There is a space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to write in additional notes. The ninth area of review, are all or any portion of the resident's personal funds available to the resident/authorized representative upon request during the facility's established business days and hours, except provided in Rule Area F and G 1105. There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. If no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 10th area of review, is residents' personal needs allowance credited to their account within one business day of the funds being available in the facility's personal funds account? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. If no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. Settlement cost of care. Cost of care means any monies paid by the resident or the resident's legal representative in advance for room and board and services provided by the facility as agreed upon in the resident's contract. The 11th area of review for facility initiated discharges. Did the facility refund an amount equal to the cost of care for the remainder of the month minus the amount charged for any nights spent in the facility during the notice period within 14 days after the resident left the facility? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 12th area of review, when the resident moves out of the facility without giving notice and/or before the facility's required notice period has elapsed, as may be required by the facility according to the rules and resident contract. The facility did not charge the resident more than the amount equal to the cost of care for the required notice period. There is area to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no was checked, there is an area on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 13th area of review, when a resident receiving state county special assistance, or parentheses SA, moves out of the facility before the facility's required notice period has elapsed. Did the facility refund the remainder of any advance payments following settlement of the cost of care within 14 days from the date of notice, or if no notice was given within 14 days after the resident left the facility? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 14th area for review, when there is an exception to the notice to protect the health or safety of the resident or others in the facility, or when there is a sudden unexpected closure of the facility that requires the resident to relocate, did the facility only charge the resident for any nights spent in the facility and provide a refund to the resident within 14 days from the date of notice? There is an area to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no was checked, there is an area on the right-hand side of the page to write notes for follow-up. The 15th area of review, when a resident gives notice of leaving the facility, as may be required by the facility, and leaves at the end of the notice period, did the facility refund the remainder of any advance payment within 14 days from the date of notice? There is an area to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 16th area for review, when the facility does not require a discharge notice to be provided, did the facility provide a refund within 14 days after the resident left the facility? There is space to check yes, no, not applicable. And if no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to write in notes for follow-up. The 17th area of review is related to resident death. Did the facility provide a refund to the resident's authorized representative within 30 days after the resident's death equal to the cost of care for the month minus any nights spent in the facility during the month? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. If no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 18th area of review, when a resident dies and no administrator of his or her estate has been appointed, did the facility provide a refund to the clerk of court within 30 days after the resident's death equal to the cost of care for the month minus any nights spent in the facility during the month. There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. Questions 19 through 22 are related to a resident leaving the facility with the intent to return. So the 19th area of review, when a resident leaves the facility and the resident or his or her responsible person has notified the facility of the intent of returning to it, and the resident or their responsible party reserves their bed for a set number of days. Did the facility have a written agreement for the payment for the days of the bed is held in accordance with Rule 07041A of this subchapter? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. If the facility requires a 14-day written notice, the requirement is part of the written agreement and explained by the facility to the resident's family, or responsible person before signing. There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no was checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 20th area of review, when a resident leaves the facility and the resident or his or her responsible person has notified the facility of the intent of returning to it, but then after leaving decides not to return to the facility, and the resident or someone acting on their behalf notifies the facility that he or she will not be returning to the facility. Did the facility refund the remainder of any advance payment equal to the cost of care for the period covered by the agreement within 14 days after notification that the resident would not be returning to the facility? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 21st area of review, for residents who receive state county special assistance. Facility did not require payment for more than 30 days, except when the resident is residing in the facility or is anticipated that the resident will return to the facility within 30 days. There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. If no is checked, there is space on the right-hand side of the page to add notes for follow-up. The 22nd area of review, when there are exceptions to the 14-day notice, if required by the facility, and returning to the facility would jeopardize the health or safety of the resident or others in the facility as certified by the resident's physician or approved by the County Department of Social Services. Did the facility provide a refund equal to the rest of any advance payment calculated from the beginning day the facility was notified within 14 days after the resident left the facility? There is space to check yes, no, or not applicable. And if no is checked, there is space to add notes on the right-hand side of the page. That concludes the review of the QA tool for resident funds and settlement of cost of care. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please reach out to the email DHSR period adult care period questions at DHHS period NC period gov. Thank you.